welcome. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Please. I know everybody's excited about all the breaking news that's going on. We have a big show to get to, but before we get into the big news and the main reason why I went live today, we got a few other things to get into. So thank you everybody for being here to watch the show. Let's get right into it. So my first topic of the day is that the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, has refused the Young Turks press credentials. But for whatever reason, the RNC, the Republican National Committee, gave it to them. Now, to me, if this doesn't show where the Democrats' priorities are, I don't know what else will. The Young Turks is one of the only mainstream progressive news networks, and they're not like me who hate Democrats for the most part. You know, they don't agree with Joe, they don't like him, but they're not going to go out and tell everybody not to vote for him like I probably would tell you. And for them to leave AOC off of the DNC I think the DNC is on a Monday. They're leaving AOC off. Bernie, I think, gets like 10 minutes. They denied the Young Turks press credentials, and it, excuse me, just is a straight smack in the face to all the progressives that are out there. And honestly, a big part of me really hopes that they lose this election, just so that they see that unless they actually become an opposition party and actually become lefty liberals, that they're never going to win another election. So I did think it was important that you guys really see the shallowness that is the Democratic Party. The fact that they would deny the Young Turks press credentials is ridiculous. The only mainstream progressive news show out there, but the RNC, the Republican National Committee, gives them those press credentials. It makes sense because I know how shallow and empty the Democratic Party really is. And I'm just hoping that, this really shows you where their priorities are. But with that being said, let's go on to my next topic, which is, so the Senate left today until September, I think September 8th, without any more corona relief, leaving just around 20 million people unsure where their next paycheck is going to come from, being that you did take all their jobs away. You purposely made a choice to put them on unemployment, and now you took their money away. You didn't leave them with the eviction moratorium ended. So not only are they going to have to go the rest of this month without that $600 plus up, which probably leaves them with like maybe $100, $200 a week, if that. They're going to be in danger of being bounced out of whatever house that they're living in, whether it's apartment or getting foreclosed on their home. And I know Donald Trump, he wrote an executive order giving, I think, $400 in relief, which is really $300 because he wants the states to pick up the other $100. And an eviction moratorium, but really isn't an eviction moratorium. It's him just kind of suggesting that he hopes that they would not evict people. And but the big problem with that is that the president doesn't really have the authority to spend money. That's one of the major, I don't know, it's not a problem, but Congress is the only one that's allowed to spend money. It's the only one that can approve the money that's spent. Now, the way Donald Trump made it to where the money that he's talking about would come out of, I think, a disaster relief fund, so FEMA. So technically, he could use this emergency funds to do it again, but it's only $300. He wants the states to pick up the other $100, which they're not going to be able to do because none of the states have any fucking money, and it's more than likely going to get shot down in court. But it was more used by Donald Trump as a way to get the two sides back into negotiating and talking to get them to get a deal worked out. It was a nice try. It didn't work. Again, like you see here, they're going to be gone until next fucking month. So for the next 2.5 weeks, people are going to be close to 20 million people have no idea what they're going to do, how they're going to pay their rent, feed their children, bills, whatnot. And I know a lot of people would like to paint it as if one side is just being worse than the other one, but it's really both sides just being totally inept at their job and purposely wanting to make the other side look bad, to especially the Democrats, and I would like to think that the Democrats wouldn't be that shallow, that they would purposely hold up any of the talks so that it really does cripple the economy to the point where the American people have no choice but to vote for Joe Biden. I would hope that the Democrats wouldn't be that shallow, but they are. So I wouldn't put it past them. Now, I'm not saying that's exactly what they're doing, but it is what it looks like, without a doubt. But we're going to have to see what goes forward in the future being next month. And so I will look to see a spike in homelessness in the next 2 months, especially because they're going to come back September 8th doesn't mean that when they come back, they're going to work a deal out. It's been over a month they've been arguing for the next relief package. Actually, it's been like 2 months. They've been arguing over the next relief package, and still nothing's been done. So we'll have to see what's done in the future. I just hope we bounce these motherfuckers out of Congress. That's really all I hope. I'm hoping that this entire situation really shows and proves to the American people how useless these old fucking dinosaurs that we have running our country are. Old and fucking useless. But enough of that. We're moving through pretty quick today. It's really hot in this motherfucker too. So I'm sorry, during the summer, these shows got to be a little quick. It get hot in the studio. Motherfucker get all greasy and shit. But let's moving on to my next topic, which I'm sure all you guys have seen it, which was really crazy, and it was on August 4th. A massive explosion rocked Beirut, Lebanon, leaving at least 160 people dead, around 3,000 injured, and left a staggering 250,000 people homeless, as the effects of this explosion spread across, I think they said 7 miles, which is fucking crazy. So yeah, leaving around 250 people homeless. Let's take a look.
Oh my God.
There was a massive explosion. I mean, something that really shook this city like I've never seen before. And I've been through wars here in Lebanon, and this is something unheard of. I'm looking at the buildings all around me. Many windows are also smashed. There's lots of glass and other debris in the street.
Now, it's crazy. First of all, when I first saw this video, Javi, I have to say, I thought this shit was fake. That shit was fucking crazy. I never seen no shit like that before in my life. And I know a lot of people have been speculating whether it was attack or a kind of a false flag kind of incident. I don't want to give any of those narratives any credence. I think what it really came down to is just what's a good word for this? Anyway, it doesn't matter. From what I understand, this was a warehouse on a port that was storing ammonium nitrate thousands of tons of ammonium nitrate, the same thing that was used in the Oklahoma City bombing of the federal building, but something like 2,000 times more powerful, that had been confiscated. And I don't know, again, I don't know exactly how true this part of it is, but that somebody had been doing some type of work in the area, maybe welding. I'm not exactly sure. The entire investigation hasn't come out yet, but started a fire that led to this explosion. Now, I want to touch on Beirut and why I'm bringing this story to you today, right? So Beirut is a country that has been facing an economic depression over the last year or so. And the reason that I am bringing this story to your attention is because Lebanon has for many years dealt with civil war and attacks from outside nations, right? So this is a country, much like Syria, that I wouldn't put it past the United States to want to start some type of regime change war once the effects of this terrible tragedy really start to take effect. You know, Lebanon is placed kind of in between a hotbed of, you know, it's hard to say terrorism. You know, one person's terrorism and the next terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. I'm not here to say who's who, right? But Lebanon basically sits smack dab in the middle between Syria, Israel, Palestine, and there's another country underneath there somewhere. It doesn't matter. But once, you know, if there's any type of populist movement or progressive movement in that country because of the effects of not only their economic downfall, and now this that's left over 200,000 people homeless, I wouldn't put it past America to want to step in there and throw somebody in there that's gonna work towards American interests. So the main reason why I'm bringing you that story is because I want that to be on your radar, and you heard it here first. That if you see, you know, whistles of war, or you start to see little proxy fights and civil war starting to break out in Lebanon, just know that is more than likely us trying to establish some type of foothold in that country to gain control in that region, which is very, very unstable. But moving on to everybody's favorite presidential nominee. Anybody who's a fan here knows how much we love Joe Biden on this show. So Joe Biden has yeah, please. No, just skip to the next. Is it gonna play right when you? Okay. So Joe Biden has has been hiding in the basement for a while. Only comes out to speak maybe once a month or so, and he's come out and done an interview. And so let's look to see what Sleepy Joe's talking about.
Have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say to President Trump, who brags about his tests and makes your mental state an issue for voters?
What is he laughing at? He laughing at his own.
If he can't figure out the difference between an elephant and a lion, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Did you watch that? Look, come on, man. I know you're trying to goad me, but I mean, I'm so forward looking to have an opportunity to sit with the president or stand with the president in debates. There's going to be plenty of time. And by the way, as I joke with him, you know, I shouldn't say it. I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't say. Anyway, I am.
Like, I wonder if, like, do you pay attention to the interviews that you fucking do after you do them, to know every time, literally every time, Javi, every time. This isn't like, I'm not pulling these out of a hat somewhere. This is literally from one interview to the next. If you follow the show, we cover Joe Biden a lot because, you know, we like to make fun of him here. And so I cover the interviews that he does, and these aren't interviews that are. All these interviews that he's done where he said all this crazy shit, these aren't like in between or long spaces in between time. Like, this is shit he does one after the next. Just, it's your next president. That is your next president. If you want to tell me that ain't that ain't a bumbling old fool who's suffering from the early onsets of dementia, then I don't know what the fuck you're looking at. I just don't. I don't. And I know I get a lot of shit, right? I get a lot of shit for attacking Joe Biden and attacking liberals. It's because, for one, I'm not a fucking hypocrite. And just because some motherfucker has a D next to their name, don't think that I'm not going to criticize and hold them to the same standard I would any fucking body who runs the fucking country. All right? This isn't a job for a 78-year-old fucking man who's losing his fucking mind. I don't care that he has a D next to his name. And I don't care that he's running up against Donald fucking Trump. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to sit back and pretend like this is a person who should be running the fucking country, or, you know, who would literally be the most powerful person in the fucking world. I'm not going to pretend that Joe Biden is that fucking guy. All right? So I don't care. Get mad if you want to. It doesn't fucking matter. Joe Biden is lame as fuck. Lame as fuck. And better yet, you know, if Joe Biden loses this election, I want you to blame me. I really, really hope, and I want you to blame me. And all the voices out there that are telling everybody, stop voting for bad and worse. It's fucking bullshit. And if you keep all this blue no matter who bullshit, you keep showing the Democratic Party that you'll vote for whatever nonsense that they put out there, that's exactly what the fuck you're gonna get. Because you haven't made them do anything other. You haven't forced them to actually put a candidate up there that's worth fucking voting for. How about you do that? There are 250 million voters of people of voting age in this fucking country. 250 million. Take a wild fucking guess how many actually vote. And you can blame it on it being Donald Trump or sexism. The real reason that all 250 million people of voting age don't vote is because year after fucking year, election after election, you put these lame, dizzy motherfuckers up there to run the fucking country. And people like me are over it. So go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm telling everybody I know, if you see a choice between bad and worse, tell them go fuck theyself and let them deal with the problem. Because if you keep electing, like even the idea that Joe Biden is a fucking liberal or a Democrat, Joe Biden is a centrist Republican. All right? If you take his policies and put him anywhere else around the world, he would be hardcore right fucking wing. But only in America are things so fucking twisted upside down where we think Joe Biden and Kamala fucking Harris are liberals. It's getting hot in here, Javi. I'm sorry. I'm sweating. Oh. Jesus fucking Christ, man. It gets on my fucking nerves. And speaking of Kamala Harris, I'm sure you guys have all heard the fucking great news of who the fuck Joe Biden has picked as his running mate. Kamala fucking Harris. Now, as predictable as this was, I'm telling you this Kamala Harris, and I've seen so many people, not so many people, but you know, all the blue checks on Instagram on how happy they are and how happy and progressive, how happy that the Democratic Party is becoming so progressive and nominating the first ever black woman as a vice president. When in actuality, she gives him no better chance to win at all. In fact, I could absolutely see this as their downfall, seeing as she does not excite anyone but Wall Street and Hollywood elites who don't live in the real world or deal with real problems the way the working class does, which should be pretty telling to the American people, but of course it's not gonna be. But let's take a closer look at Kamala Harris's record. Now, one of the shining moments that thrusted Kamala Harris onto the mainstream forum that let everybody know who she was her basically calling Joe Biden out for being a racist. So let's check out that clip.
I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing.
Look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No,
do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA. Because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
Now, I will have to say, that was her shining star moment, and she did do a very good job on that first debate. But I did, however, find it kind of funny that she would call Joe Biden a racist while being part of the system that put poor and black, brown people in prison for nonviolent drug offenses. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. And also, this is her bragging about wanting to lock parents up for truancy, most of whom would be single mothers of a lower class, poor, poor single mothers mostly. This is her bragging about this policy.
The education I received. And I know many of us will say the same thing. And I believe a child going without an education is tantamount to a crime. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco. And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very concerned because we didn't know at the time whether I was going to have an opponent in my re-election race. But I said, look, I'm done. This is a serious issue, and I've got a little political capital, and I'm going to spend some of it. And this is what we did. We recognized that in that initiative, as a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. The school district has got a carrot. Let's work in tandem around our collective objective and goal, which is to get those kids in school. So, to that end, on my letterhead, now let me tell you something about my letterhead. When you're the DA of a major city in this country, usually the job comes with a badge. And there is often an artistic rendering of said badge on your stationery. So I sent a letter out on my letterhead to every parent in the school district, outlining the connection that was statistically proven between elementary school truancy, high school dropouts, who will become a victim of crime, and who will become a perpetrator of crime. We sent it out to everyone. A friend of mine actually called me and he said, Kamala, my wife got the letter. She freaked out. She brought all the kids into the living room, held up the letter, said, if you don't go to school, Kamala's gonna put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
Laughing about it. Laughing about it. And her connecting the dots between elementary school truancy, high school dropouts, and school to prison pipeline has so many different intangibles to it. The fact that she would connect those 3 dots and use that as an excuse to lock single mothers up for their kids' truancy is fucking bullshit. Single mothers are among the most vulnerable people in this fucking country. And the idea that just locking people up for things actually changes or makes anything better. You don't solve the actual problem that they're facing. These people have no fucking foresight or original ideas in their head. They just think you make something illegal, put them in jail for it, that'll be the end of it. Fucking dumb motherfuckers. Now, the first video that I showed you, the one I showed you before this last one, was, like I said, her on the first debate stage would thrust her into the limelight, and she actually did a very good job until the second debate came and my girl Tulsi knocked her right off that high horse.
You called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
And after that happened, that was a blow that she never recovered from. Eventually, maybe 3 or 4 weeks after that, I think it was like 4 weeks after that, she eventually dropped out. And that was the end of her. So the thing about Kamala is that, or the thing I want to say about this VP pick is, right, is that not only is it the worst pick, but it's at the same time the only pick Joe could have made. Now, let me make this point because I know that sounds crazy, right? How is it the worst but the only pick he could have made? Let me explain. Now, for one, Joe backed himself into a corner by saying that he was going to pick a woman of color. Now, not that picking a woman of color is a bad thing, but that leaves you with like 5 fucking people, you know? So he left his options pretty narrow when he said that. And 2, you know, optics, you know? Joe is a bumbling old fool that can hardly get through a fucking sentence. And Kamala is fairly charismatic, a very good speaker. She is a prosecutor, which makes her a very good debater. And she's easy on the eyes, I have to say. If I was 15 years older, I might give it a stab. You know, don't be mad at me, okay? Sorry. But Kamala isn't someone who's going to expand the Democratic voter base. She couldn't even win her own home state during the primaries and didn't even win a single delegate. So this isn't somebody who's like a unifier. She's not bringing in her people from one side. This is somebody who would have got, she dropped out before Ohio because she knew she wasn't going to win California. Her own fucking home state literally has won 0 delegates in the whole nominee race. And Joe Biden, like I said, backed himself in the corner, said he was going to pick a woman of color. He wasn't going to pick Nina Turner. And that really only left him with Kamala Harris or Susan Rice. Nobody knows who Susan Rice is, so he had to pick Kamala Harris. Now, this pick to me, all right, and you know, this whole show is just basically my whole opinion, and I don't report news that isn't already reported on, you know. This is an opinion-based show. So in my opinion, this pick only shows what a hollow shell the Democratic Party really is, and that the only thing that they care about is the only thing that the Democratic Party cares about is putting a diverse face on neoliberal corporatism. Kamala Harris's record shows that she is a soulless, morally corrupt chameleon that only cares about the advancement of her own career. And the scary part is, that's exactly what the establishment wants. And that's exactly what more than likely she's gonna get. In a Joe Biden presidency, you are leaving Kamala Harris, the VP, as the next presumptive presidential candidate after him. You know, and like I said, Joe Biden is 78 years old, which means by the end of his 4-year term, he would be 82. So you're gonna send an 82-year-old man who already at the age he is now at 78 can hardly get through a fucking sentence, but at 82, I'm not sure how good he's going to be. So you might literally, after 4 years, be leaving the country in the hands of a Kamala Harris, who is, like I said, nobody can even tell you a platform that she has. That's what's the vice president, Pence? You know, at least I know he's evangelist, and I know I don't agree with him. I don't like the guy or anything like that, but I know what he stands for. He's an evangelist. He's a pro-life guy who all he cares about is the courts and judges and trying to overturn Roe v. Wade. I know that about him. I don't know shit about Kamala Harris other than she locked a lot of motherfuckers up. That's all I fucking know.
That's all I know too.
Yeah, she at one point was for Medicare for all, but as soon as she was on the nominee stage on debating, she reversed her stance on that. You know, I don't know where she stands on immigration. I don't know where she stands on any fucking thing. And nobody does, because she doesn't even know. So everybody, I hope you guys all have fun picking who your fucking president, your next president's gonna be. Because me, fuck them. All of them. Fuck them. And with that being said, that was a great show today, Javi. I don't know if you liked it. I loved it. So thank you guys all for watching today. It was a very good show. And until next time, stay out of trouble, kids.